My name is Mitchell, and 3 weeks ago I thought I understood everything about my friendship with Cody Sullivan. We'd been best friends since our sophomore year at Oregon State University, roommates for 2 years after graduation, and the kind of inseparable duo that people either envied or found slightly annoying. At 26, we developed the comfortable rhythm of friends who knew each other's habits, moods, and stories so well that we could communicate in shorthand and inside jokes. Cody was a software engineer at a Portland startup. I worked as a graphic designer for a local marketing firm, and we shared an apartment in the Pearl District that was perfect for two single guys who valued good coffee, decent restaurants, and easy access to the city's hiking trails. Our weekends usually involved some combination of outdoor activities, brewery tours, and the kind of low-key social events that made Portland feel like an adult playground. What I didn't expect was for Cody to completely upend our predictable routine with a mysterious hiking proposal that would reveal feelings neither of us had been brave enough to acknowledge. "Mitchell," Cody said one Thursday evening as we cleaned up after dinner, "I want to ask you something, and I need you to say yes without asking too many questions." I looked up from loading the dishwasher, immediately suspicious. Cody was usually straightforward about plans and activities, so his request for blind agreement was completely out of character. "That sounds ominous. What are you planning?" "I want to take you on a hiking trip this weekend. Overnight camping, about a 4-hour drive from here, somewhere neither of us has been before." "Okay, that sounds fun. Where are we going?" "I told you not to ask too many questions. Will you trust me and just say yes?" There was something in Cody's expression that suggested this wasn't just a spontaneous adventure proposal. He looked nervous, excited, and determined in a way that made me curious about what he was really planning. "Cody, you're being weird about this. Since when do you make mysterious hiking plans that require blind trust?" "Since I decided it was time to do something I should have done months ago." Which is something I can't explain until we're actually on the trail. "Mitchell, please, just trust me and say you'll come." I studied Cody's face, trying to read the mix of emotions I saw there. He was clearly nervous about something, but there was also anticipation and what looked like hope. Whatever he was planning, it was important to him in ways that went beyond a simple camping trip. "All right," I said finally. "I'll trust you. When do we leave?" Confident. "Friday after work. I've already requested time off for both of us, packed most of the gear, and planned the route. All you need to do is show up with hiking clothes and an open mind." Surprised. "You requested time off for me?" "I may have told your boss that you had a family emergency that required immediate travel." Annoyed. "Cody, you can't just lie to my employer about fictional emergencies." Defensive. "It's not entirely fictional. This is an emergency of sorts, and we are kind of like family." Skeptical. "What kind of emergency requires a mysterious hiking trip?" Serious. "The kind where your best friend has something important to tell you and needs the right setting to find the courage to say it." Something in Cody's tone made me stop asking questions. Whatever this was about, it was clearly significant to him, and our friendship was built on supporting each other through important moments, even when we didn't understand them. Resigned. "Okay," I said. "I trust you. But Cody, if this turns out to be some elaborate scheme to get me to participate in a survival reality show or something, I'm never forgiving you." Reassuring. "It's not a reality show. It's just..." Short pause. "Me needing to tell you something in a place where we can't be interrupted or distracted by normal life." Friday afternoon. Cody picked me up from work in his Subaru Forester, loaded with camping gear, hiking equipment, and enough food for a week in the wilderness. He was clearly excited, but also nervous, fidgeting with the radio and checking the GPS more often than necessary. Curious. "So, I said as we headed east toward the Cascade Mountains. Are you going to give me any hints about this mysterious destination? Enthusiastic. It's a trail system I discovered while researching weekend trips, supposed to have incredible views, moderate difficulty, and very few other hikers. Direct. And the mysterious thing you need to tell me? Evasive. Can we get to the campsite first? Some conversations are better had around a campfire instead of in traffic. Anxious. Cody, you're making me nervous. Is everything okay? Are you sick? Moving away? Having some kind of personal crisis? Calm. I'm not sick. I'm not moving away. And whether it's a personal crisis depends on how well the conversation goes. Dryly. That's not reassuring. Earnest. Mitchell, I promise, everything will make sense once we're on the trail. Can you just enjoy the drive and trust that I know what I'm doing? I spent the 4-hour drive trying. The trailhead was exactly as advertised. Remote, beautiful, and nearly deserted. We saw only 2 other cars in the parking area, and both looked like they'd been there for several days. Cody had chosen a destination that would give us complete privacy for whatever conversation he was planning. This place is incredible, I said as we shouldered our packs and studied the trail map. How did you find it? Research. I wanted somewhere special for this trip. How? You'll see. The hike to our planned campsite was about 6 miles through old-growth forest that gradually gave way to alpine meadows and stunning mountain views. Cody had clearly chosen the route carefully. Challenging enough to be engaging, beautiful enough to be inspiring, and remote enough to ensure we wouldn't encounter other hikers. Cody, I said as we took a water break about halfway to the campsite, I have to ask again. What's this really about? You've been planning something elaborate and mysterious, and it's making me worry that you're about to tell me something terrible. It's not terrible. At least, I hope it's not terrible. But Mitchell, it is important, and it might change things between us. Change things how? That depends on how you react to what I need to tell you. Can you give me a hint? Something to prepare me for whatever this conversation is going to be? Cody was quiet for a moment, looking out at the mountain vista spread below us. Do you ever think about us? About our friendship and whether it's typical? What do you mean? I mean, do you ever notice that we spend more time together than most friends? That we know each other better than most people know their romantic partners? That we've basically been living like a couple for the past 2 years, just without the romantic component? The observation was uncomfortably accurate. Cody and I did spend most of our free time together. We knew each other's routines and preferences intimately, and we developed the kind of domestic partnership that looked suspiciously like a relationship to outside observers. I guess we are pretty close, I said carefully. Mitchell, we're more than close. We're something, and I've been trying to figure out what that something is and whether you've noticed it too. Noticed what exactly? The way we look at each other sometimes. The way we find excuses to spend time together. The way neither of us has had a serious relationship since we moved in together. Even though we're both decent-looking guys with good jobs and social skills. I stared at Cody, suddenly understanding why this conversation required a remote mountain setting. He was asking questions that I'd been carefully avoiding, pointing out patterns that I'd noticed but hadn't wanted to examine too closely. Cody, what are you saying? I'm saying that I think there's something between us that goes beyond friendship. And I wanted to bring you somewhere beautiful and private to find out if you feel it too. Feel what? Feel like maybe we've been more than friends for a while now. We just haven't been brave enough to acknowledge it. We reached our campsite in the late afternoon, a small clearing beside a mountain lake that reflected the surrounding peaks like a perfect mirror. It was exactly the kind of stunning location that made you understand why people fell in love with wilderness backpacking. "This is perfect," I said, as we dropped our packs and surveyed the site. "I hoped you'd like it, Mitchell. This place, it felt right for what I wanted to talk about." We set up our tent and prepared dinner with the efficient teamwork that came from years of camping together. But there was an undercurrent of nervous energy in everything we did, the awareness that we were building toward a conversation that could fundamentally change our relationship. As the sun set and we built a small campfire, I found myself studying Cody in the flickering light. He was handsome in the rugged, outdoorsy way that suited Oregon perfectly. Tall and lean from years of hiking and rock climbing, with dark brown hair that was always slightly tousled and green eyes that seemed to notice everything around him. He had the kind of easy confidence that came from being comfortable in his own skin, and when he smiled, it was with genuine warmth that made people want to be around him. We'd been friends for so long that I rarely thought about Cody in terms of physical attractiveness, but sitting across from him in the firelight, I found myself noticing things I'd trained myself not to see. The way his hands moved when he talked, the concentration on his face when he was thinking, the casual grace with which he moved through physical space. "Mitchell," Cody said as we finished eating and settled back to watch the fire, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to let me get through it before you respond." "Okay." "I've been in love with you for over a year." The statement hung in the air between us, simple and devastating, and completely changing the context of everything that had happened between us recently. "Cody." "Ernest, let me finish. I know this might be surprising, and I know it complicates our friendship and our living situation. But Mitchell, I can't keep pretending that what I feel for you is just friendship, when it's obviously much more than that. How long have you known?" "Thoughtful. That I'm in love with you? About a year. That I was attracted to you, probably since we moved in together. That I'm attracted to men at all. That's been a slower realization." I stared at Cody across the campfire, trying to process what he'd just told me. My best friend was in love with me, had been for over a year, and had brought me to this remote mountain location to finally admit it. "Cody, I don't know what to say." Reassuring. "You don't have to say anything right now." Ernest. "But Mitchell, I needed you to know. Because living with these feelings and pretending they don't exist has been driving me crazy." Questioning. "Is that why you planned this trip? To tell me you're in love with me?" Hesitant. Partly. Hopeful. But also because I wanted to find out if there's any chance you might feel the same way. Apprehensive. And if I don't? Resigned. Then we figure out how to move forward as friends. It might be complicated for a while, but our friendship is too important to lose over unrequited feelings. Hopeful. And if I do? Warmly. Then we figure out what that means for us, together. I looked at Cody in the firelight, this person who'd become the most important constant in my adult life, and realized that the feelings he was describing weren't entirely one-sided. Thoughtful. "Cody, can I ask you something?" Openly. Anything. Reflective. When you think about your ideal relationship, your ideal life partner, what does that look like? Sincere. Honestly. Chuckles softly. It looks like what we already have, just with the romantic component that we've been avoiding. Someone I can talk to for hours. Someone who shares my interests. Someone I trust completely. Someone who makes me want to be a better person. Teasing. Someone who knows your habits and quirks and finds them endearing, rather than annoying. Warmly. Exactly. Softly. Someone who feels like home. I was quiet for a long time, watching the fire and thinking about the past 2 years of living with Cody. The easy intimacy we'd developed. The way our lives had become completely intertwined. Serious. Cody, I need to tell you something too.
What kind of things?
The way you look when you're concentrating on something difficult. The way you laugh when something genuinely amuses you. The way you make me feel like the most interesting person in the room when we're talking. Mitchell, those sound like feelings that go beyond friendship? Yeah, they do. Cody leaned forward, his expression hopeful and nervous. So, what does that mean? It means I think you're right about there being something between us that we haven't acknowledged. It means I've been in denial about feelings that are probably obvious to everyone except us. And I'm scared. Cody, you're the most important person in my life. If we try to be more than friends and it doesn't work out, I could lose the best relationship I've ever had. What if it does work out? Then I guess we become the couple that everyone already thinks we are. Cody smiled, and even in the dim firelight I could see relief and joy in his expression. Mitchell, can I be honest about something? Please. I think we already are a couple, in everything but name. We live together. We spend most of our free time together. We know each other better than most married people know their spouses. The only thing missing is the romantic acknowledgement of what we already have. You really think that? I think we've been dating for 2 years without realizing it. This conversation is just making it official. So what happens now? Now we stop pretending that what we have is just friendship and start exploring what it could be as something more. Here? Tonight? If you want to. Mitchell, I've been wanting to kiss you for months. If there's any chance you might want that too. I looked at Cody across the campfire. This man who'd become my best friend. My closest confidant, and apparently the person I'd been falling in love with without acknowledging it. I do want that. Cody moved around the fire to sit beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his body. Are you sure about this? He asked. Once we cross this line, we can't go back to being just friends. I don't want to go back. Cody, I want to see what we could be together. When Cody kissed me, it was soft and tentative at first, then deeper as we both relaxed into the contact. He tasted like campfire smoke and possibility, and when we broke apart, I felt like everything in my life had suddenly clicked into place. How was that? Cody asked, his forehead resting against mine. Thoughtful. Perfect. Like something I've been waiting for, without knowing I was waiting for it. Satisfied. Good, because I've been imagining that for months. Teasing. Just months? Okay, maybe longer than months. We spent the rest of the evening talking about the feelings we'd both been hiding, the moments when we'd almost crossed the line between friendship and something more, and our hopes for what a romantic relationship might look like. Curious. Cody, I said as we prepared for bed. I have to ask, did you plan for us to share the tent, or did you pack 2 sleeping bags? Optimistically, I packed 1 tent because that's what we always do when we go camping. But I may have been hoping that this trip would give us a reason to share it more intentionally. Direct. And if I hadn't felt the same way? Humorous. Then I would have spent a very uncomfortable night sleeping as far away from you as possible in a very small space. Playful. Lucky for you, that's not going to be necessary. We settled into the tent together, and for the first time in our years of friendship, The physical proximity felt charged with romantic possibility rather than just practical necessity. Thoughtful. Mitchell, Cody said as we lay in our sleeping bags, looking up at the stars through the tense mesh ceiling. Are you nervous about this? Hesitant. About us? A little. Are you? Terrified. Excited. But also more excited than I've been about anything in years. Curious. Why terrified? Sincere. Because you matter too much to mess this up. Cody, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right. Thoughtful. What does doing it right look like? Serious. Honest communication. Patience while we figure out the romantic aspects of a relationship that's already been building for years. And probably some awkward conversations about logistics and boundaries. Determined. I can handle awkward conversations if it means getting to be with you. Surprised. Really? Sincere. Really. Mitchell. I've been thinking about this for so long that any awkwardness is worth it, just to finally be honest about how I feel. The next morning, we woke up in each other's arms, and it felt natural rather than strange. Cody was warm and solid against my back, and when I shifted slightly, he tightened his arms around me without fully waking up. Sleepy. Good morning, I murmured when I felt him stirring. Sleepy. Good morning. How did you sleep? Relaxed. Better than I have in months. You? Content. Same. Short pause. Mitchell, last night. Do you have any regrets?
We spent the morning hiking to a nearby peak that offered panoramic views of the Cascade Range, and the conversation flowed as easily as it always had, but with the added dimension of acknowledged romantic feelings. Cody, I said as we sat on the summit sharing trail mix and taking in the view. What happens when we get back to Portland? Do we tell people about this change in our relationship? What do you want to do? I think we tell people that we finally figured out what everyone else already suspected, that we've been in love with each other for a while now. You think people suspected? Cody, my coworkers have been asking me about my boyfriend for months. They all assumed we were dating already. Really? Really. I think the only people who didn't know we were in love were us. That's either romantic or embarrassing. Why not both? We hiked back to our campsite and spent the afternoon lounging by the lake, talking about practical questions like whether we wanted to continue living together, yes, how to navigate the transition from friends to partners carefully, and what our long-term relationship goals might be. Surprisingly aligned. Mitchell, Cody said as we watched the sunset paint the mountains in shades of gold and pink. I need to tell you something else. What's that? I love you. Not just as a friend who I'm attracted to, but completely and totally. You've become the most important person in my life, and I can't imagine a future that doesn't include you. I love you too, Cody. You've been my best friend, my roommate, my favorite person to spend time with. And now you get to be my boyfriend too. How does that feel? Like the most natural progression in the world. When we returned to Portland the following evening, we made the official announcement to our friends that we were dating, which was met with a collective, "Finally!" from everyone who knew us. Any regrets about the mysterious hiking trip? I asked Cody that night as we settled into bed together in our shared apartment, that now felt like a genuinely shared home. Thoughtful. About creating an elaborate romantic scenario to confess my feelings. About potentially ruining the best friendship I've ever had for the sake of romantic feelings. About completely changing the trajectory of both our lives with one conversation. Any of it, all of it.
I looked at Cody in the dim light of our bedroom, this person who'd been my best friend and was now my partner, and marveled at how completely right this felt. Playfully, "None," I said honestly. "Though, I still think you could have just told me you were in love with me, without the 4-hour drive and overnight camping." Where's the romance in that? Thoughtful, fair point, happy. Plus, now we have an incredible story about how we got together. Sincere. The best love stories usually involve someone being brave enough to risk everything for the possibility of something amazing. Tenderly. And sometimes the most amazing relationships are the ones that grow out of the best friendships. As Cody pulled me close for a kiss that tasted like home and forever, I realized that sometimes the most important journeys are the ones that lead you to recognize what was already right in front of you. The trail to truth had led us through beautiful wilderness, but the real destination had been each other.